Welcome to the Substack Live edition of Politics Done Right. I know you hear my voice. Regardless of being ill or not, we get the job done. Today we have a very special guest, Isaiah Martin, and a Gen Z political activist and now politician. He's out with us today, and we are going to discuss the state of the Democratic Party, where it needs to go, and you know what I've been talking about for a long time. I want these guys, these younger folk, I want them to take this damn party and move it forward, move it to what America really wants. So, without further ado, Mr. Isaiah Martin, welcome to Politics Done Right, Substack Live. How are
Absolutely.
you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Well, look, I'm excited too because over the last 3 days, I became your stalker on Instagram because
Yeah.
I like to see what our Democratic or progressive politicians are doing.
Hmm.
I think it's essential for us to know how to use these different avenues
Yeah.
and not being partial or not being selective.
Yeah.
So far in this race, you are the one who have been able to use all the avenues, which I think is in the order of, let's say, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or the
Hmm.
others who have effectively used this platform. Talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, certainly we want to be everywhere we possibly can. So whether that's in social media, whether that's being in person, we're going to events all across the district. We are going on social media. We got, millions and millions of views on all of our content from all across the country and right here in our district. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. And then every night on TikTok Live, I'm available for people to ask me any question they want. And I believe that that is certainly what a lot of people are excited about because I'm the kind of person that's unafraid. I don't really run from anything. And I want to show that no matter what the situation is, I'm unscripted, unfiltered, and I'm ready to be here to serve the people.
Well, the most important thing, can you do the job?
Absolutely.
Now, here's the
Absolutely.
deal. What's the problem right now with the Democratic Party as you see it?
Well, I would say that the biggest thing is I think the modern day question in front of us is just fight versus flight. It's not really as ideological today as it once was. It's more of a question of are you willing to stand up and fight these guys or are you going to lay down? And certainly, I believe that we must be moving in the direction of fighting. We have to fight these people because they're throwing everything at us. The same old playbook, the same old rules that have been in place for the last 100 or so years is simply what's not going to get us out of this moment that we're in right now. It's unprecedented time, so it takes unprecedented action. And if you want new results, you're going to have to elect a new type of person to go and serve you.
So, in other words, you can't have caution, inordinate caution when you're fighting these guys.
No, I think that it's important to be strategic, but I certainly don't think that you should be afraid of your own shadow. I don't think you should be weak as paper mache. It takes a backbone to stand up to these people, and ultimately, that's what we need.
You know, I saw an ad a couple of days ago, and it was about Bernie Sanders saying the Democratic Party needs to turn left. And this guy was making fun of Bernie Sanders by saying, look, they've already moved left and they're off the bridge. And
Mhm.
the problem is the following, forget about left and right.
Yeah.
The policies that most Americans want is the policies Republicans and neoliberal Democrats call left wing. Americans
Hmm.
want good health care. Americans
Hmm.
want family leave, good
Hmm.
pay, good
Hmm.
environment, all of
Yeah.
that. What are what what should progressives do, in your opinion, to really switch the narrative? They they
Yeah.
make one believe that being left is somehow not what most Americans want.
Well, it's just kind of interesting when I hear, folks say that because it was a Democrat that went and made sure we could have Social Security. It was a Democrat that went and created Medicare and Medicaid. It was a Democrat that made sure that we can get real things directly to people. I think that ultimately politics is all personal. And we have to make sure that every single day we're communicating to people how our policies and our agenda is going to personally make their lives better. Because we know that when we have universal health care, it helps people. We know that people want that. We already know that. We know that when we do things like protecting Social Security, that people want that. They want their Social Security to be stronger, not weaker. We know when we talk about helping the veterans that served and signed the dotted line to serve America, but ultimately feel as if America is not stepping up for them when they return home, that giving them the strongest VA in the history of this country is something that they want. Now, if Republicans and if conservatives want to call that left wing or crazy, then that's just on them. But I just happen to believe that in the wealthiest country on earth, that we certainly should be providing for the people of our country, and we should be unapologetic about doing so.
No, I don't want to put you against a party or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
But do you think it is necessary to weed out those in the party who have little distinction with, let's say, the Republican orthodoxy?
Well, I mean, I think it just depends on their district, particularly. I just think that ultimately we have to be in the business of expanding our party and making sure that we're electing people to seats that best reflect our values. And that's why these primaries are so incredibly important. Why it's important to understand the kind of person that you're sending to represent our party in Washington, because ultimately, if you don't pay attention to primaries and you get someone in there that's milk toast and doesn't stand for you, I mean, then the only person that we have to blame is essentially ourselves. So we have to make sure that we're very active in these primaries and we're getting people that understand us, that fight for us, and are focused on our issues.
You and I understand the word milk toast. A lot of regular
Yeah.
people in your district don't. Tell them
Yeah.
what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, look, I think that it was Harry Truman that says that if you're given two options to vote for a Republican or Republican light, people are going to vote for a Republican every single time. And so I do not believe in Republican light politics. I think that we have to be in the party of transforming people, especially because we understand that the facts are on our side. You know, we understand that the last 51 million jobs have been created under Democratic presidents. We know that we grow the economy. We know that we can cut child poverty in half when our policies are done, like the child tax credit. We know that our policies work. So it's time to go all in, go further on the things that we know works, and actually be in the business of doing things. I think that a lot of times people see the fire from Republicans and they get worried about what a Republican might say. But instead, I'm more worried about what the people will say when we deliver for them, when we're putting substantive things on their table to make their lives better. Because when we do that, we can wipe out the Republicans like how Roosevelt did and how he kept the Republicans on their backs for literally 15 straight years when he was there. And I want to do the exact same thing.
You know, I watch the news, morning news every day, but
Yeah.
specifically on Sundays, all of them. And I hear Democrats on those channels all of the times. I've always spoken in my Substacks about being able to articulate immediately off one's tongue what
Yeah.
you just did.
Yeah.
Why is it that somehow that's a working class message I just heard?
Hmm.
All jobs mostly created by Democrats. Best economy, Democrats. Social
Hmm.
Security, Democrats.
Yeah.
Why don't I hear it? Not even from Bernie Sanders, which is one of the guys I was a delegate for.
Hmm.
Why is it I don't hear that articulation right off the tongue of every Democrat on TV, with the last sentence being, and by the way, folks, fact check what I just said.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think ultimately, I remember an old Obama quote where he said, "Change doesn't come from Washington; it comes to Washington." And I believe that a lot of times, you got a lot of the DC folks that will do these poll tested messages, and they swear that you have to go follow them to a T. And ultimately, they're trying to test and calculate every single word that people say. But I think that ultimately, in today's time, we have to be in the business of going off the cuff, of being authentic, and just being real. Because when you tell the truth, and this is why I believe I've had so much success on my TikTok lives is because I just tell the facts. I tell the unapologetic facts. I just tell the truth because when you do that, that's how you can go forward and really, number one, strike down Republicans because the facts are never on their side. They don't stand for anything. All they stand for is for the richest people in society to make more money. And every single time they've drove up the national debt to do so, they make the richest people in the country richer, and our economy suffers. And it is us that always has to bail them out. So I believe that that it is not good to try to worry about what a Republican might say, because I think that that's really the biggest problem in DC. People are always concerned about what Fox will say or what Charlie Kirk will say or whatever right wing crackpot they come up with. But instead, we should just be more focused on delivering for the people, on communicating to people, be damned with what the Republicans say, and focus more on getting things done for regular people.
In other words, be assertive and not be responsive to them.
That's
But
right.
you must be the one leading the debate.
We got to go
You
on
must be the
offense.
one leading the narrative.
That's right. We got to go on offense. We have to go on offense because, especially, there's no reason to be on defense. These guys suck. I hate to just say, we just gotta be honest about it. They suck. And so because of that, their policies are stupid. They do not work. And it's just going to be important for us to be able to communicate that to people in regular language, instead of this super academic, PC bullshit, quite frankly, that doesn't connect with anybody.
You're also absolutely right. It's interesting because in under 100 days, I think Donald Trump is at 70 days,
Yeah.
and the economy has already started to crash.
Mhm.
And there's something that very few people realize. The last several recessions have occurred under Republican control
Yeah.
because they simply don't know what to do with an economy. Well, they know what to do with an economy in order to make some people wealthy.
That's
Continue.
right. That's right. 100%. I believe every recent recession has happened under Republican control. Look, ultimately, all the Republicans know how to do is to destroy. It is to give tax cuts to the richest people in America. It doesn't matter what's happening. They will always go and do that. And what you're seeing right now is a destruction of not only the economy, but you're seeing them tee up $4.5 trillion in additional tax cuts for the wealthiest people in society. And they're using this and they're using tariffs to squeeze out small businesses, to give the big businesses more money so they can then buy up all the smaller businesses that we've been working and building up for a very long time. All of this stuff is intentional. It's what happened during the Great Depression. It's the same type of playbook. So we have to call that stuff out. We cannot be afraid in this moment of what Trump might say, because when we're direct with people and we're actually answering their concerns and we're talking about these things in an unapologetic way, people will listen.
And I think people are waiting. Most, not only Democrats, the working class. That's the reason many of them went for Donald Trump
That's right.
under false pretenses.
That's right.
They're waiting to see some assertions.
That's right.
So what are you and your Gen Z cohort going to do about this?
Well, for starters, I want to be ruthlessly focused on the economy. I want to be ruthlessly focused on helping people pay lower prices for things. I want to ruthlessly be focused on helping them with their health care. I want to ruthlessly be focused on helping them start businesses and ultimately being able to make the most of their own lives. I believe that it is in the interest of government to do so. I think one of the best boosts that we can do for the economy is to wipe out medical debt for every single person in this country, because I believe that it's absurd that we're giving trillions of dollars in tax cuts to people like Elon Musk, but we have people that are maxing out their credit cards to pay their medical bills, to pay for dialysis in this country. It is shameful. So it's time to wipe that out. It's time to completely reform the healthcare system so we don't end up in this mess again. I want to see us understand that we have these massive job losses that are coming because these companies are shedding jobs, particularly with the development of AI. We are not training workers for the jobs of tomorrow. Right here in Houston, we have an investment from High Velocity to build hydrogen production. They call them a hydrogen hub right here in Houston. The issue is that we don't necessarily have the people that are here that are trained for these jobs. So what happens? Then they try to go over to another state somewhere. They try to go to other cities to go and bring people here when we have people that are in this city that want to do the jobs, that are wanting and able to do them, but they simply don't have the training. So I want to make community colleges tuition free for all across the country so we can use that right here in Texas 18 to get the training programs that we need. So when we get these type of plants, when we get clean energy, when we get AI, when we get all of these things that are going to need jobs for the future, we're not having to go other places. We can get them right here in the 18th congressional district, get them trained, and get them into jobs that pay them a lot of money and help their families.
that that is the kind of leadership I think many are looking for. Now, give me a closer. Let me hear what you think is the way forward.
Well, I think that ultimately it is a Democratic Party that must be unafraid. A Democratic Party that is not going to be concerned about, what Republican ire might be. Going into every type of question that you can find, addressing misconceptions, taking every question, going into the questions that might be gotchas, but still going in and answering them with a better answer. Because I believe that gotchas are crushed by better answers. So we have to do that. We have to be bold on our policy. We have to be able to propose things that will be able to help us in the now, help us with our personal lives, but then also prepare us for the future. Because when we're focused on the future, we're focused on what's ahead, we can really get people prepared for this next generation where we're going to have so many development that's happening in this country. So I represent a new version of the Democratic Party. I think that's safe to say. But I believe that it is through young people and it's through people that see the understanding of this fight that is ahead, the policies for the future, and a bold agenda that's ahead. I believe very confidently that not only we will defeat this corrupt president, MAGA, and all the crazy Republicans that look like they're so strong in Washington right now, but we will dominate them for the next few years and potentially decades ahead if we play our cards right.
Let me tell you, Isaiah, I've been very happy to see young Gen Z and some younger millennials starting to creep up in the Democratic Party. Something
Yeah.
that's been missing from many older folks that refuse to back down and say,
Yeah.
open the door and let these
Mhm.
guys come in. Thank you so kindly for appearing on the channel here on Substack Live, and keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.